G'day guys and welcome back to another video on my channel, Nintendo Down Under. What's the best upcoming games for the Nintendo Switch this year? We're really rolling into 2020 now. New Year's is well behind us. So what's been announced? What hasn't been quite announced yet? What have we rumoured to hear? 2020 could be a big year for the Nintendo Switch. Let's get stuck into what we know right now. The Nintendo Switch is one of the best game consoles Nintendo has ever produced. With a wide variety of games to choose from and plenty of unique features, we've already gotten to play new entries in the series like Zelda, Mario and Pokemon on the Nintendo Switch. But there are still plenty of great games on the way for the hybrid console. This includes exclusive games developed internally by Nintendo, as well as third-party games including ports of titles also available on other platforms. So let's start in February. Darksiders Genesis, February 14. A spin-off of the Darksiders series, which has traditionally been about third-person hack-and-slash action. Darksiders Genesis is instead a Diablo-like dungeon crawler. Make no mistake, however, this game is still Darksiders at its core. War and strife in a prequel story that highlights their unique abilities. War makes use of heavy sword while Strife uses pistols, and you can swap between the characters at will or play it as a two-player cooperative adventure. The platforming and combat loop you expect from Darksiders is still intact, but with a healthy dose of isometric action thrown in. March 6, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. We weren't expecting to get a remade version of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team for the Nintendo Switch, but that's just the kind of cunt Nintendo is. The game puts you in a direct control of Pokemon and you must build up your team by recruiting fellow monsters before engaging in turn-based strategy combat that should feel familiar to fans of Fire Emblem or Advanced Wars. The game has received an impressive and charming makeover for the Switch, with watercolor-like visuals that give it a unique personality when compared to current Pokemon Switch games. March 20, Animal Crossing New Horizons. It has been years since we've been to Nintendo's peculiar world of Animal Crossing, but that will change on March 20 with Animal Crossing New Horizons, a Switch exclusive that takes us to a deserted island ready to be turned into paradise. The game features all the classic elements you love from the series, including collecting items in your environment, creating a dream home, and planting flowers. It also features a robust multiplayer component and far deeper crafting so that you can make a home that no one else has. With the ability to place furniture nearly anywhere, New Horizons truly will be your dream destination both inside and outside of the game. Currently no set release date, Bravely Default 2. We understand the confusion surrounding Bravely Default 2, as there was already a game called Bravely's second release on the 3DS. This isn't the same game, but it is developed by the same excellent creators that brought you the original game and Octopath Traveler. The world is completely separate from the original game, making it a great entry point for newcomers and those who may have only played Octopath Traveler, and it should deliver all the classic JRPG, adventure and action fans of genre love. Doom Eternal, which doesn't quite have a Nintendo Switch release date at the moment. 2016's Doom reboot was a surprise, not just for being able to reinvigorate the long stagnant Doom franchise, but for completely retooling it into a crazy murder fest that played like butter and delivered just the right amount of variety in battles and enemy design. With Doom Eternal, developer ID Software is kicking things up a notch, giving the Doomslayer even more weapons and taking the action to Earth in homage to Doom 2. The game has already been delayed out of 2019 to its current release date of March 20 for Xbox One, PC, PS4, but we do not yet have a final replacement release date for the Nintendo Switch. Next up is Gods and Monsters. Ubisoft is bringing one of its newest role-playing franchises, Gods and Monsters, to the Nintendo Switch, and it's designed by the same excellent staff behind Assassin's Creed Odyssey. You're tasked with saving the Greek gods rather than slaying them, so Kratos may want to stay home for this one. The world is filled with puzzles and dungeons, and it's clear that Ubisoft took some inspiration from Nintendo's Breath of the Wild in the game's creation. Sports Story. Golf Story was far more than a golf game on the Nintendo Switch. It was a full-scale role-playing game filled with charming characters all wrapped up into a golf shell that could still be enjoyed of those who don't care about sports in the slightest. Developer Sidebar Games is taking the concept even further in Sports Story, which blends sports with role-playing mechanics again and adds plenty of new sports. These include tennis, and you'll study at a tennis academy just like in the Game Boy Color classic Mario Tennis. Bayonetta 3. Bayonetta 2 likely only released because Nintendo stepped in and agreed to publish the games as a Wii U exclusive, the Platinum Games Bayonetta 3 were also released as a Nintendo exclusive. The game is coming to the Switch eventually, but Platinum Games and Nintendo have offered very little information over the last few years regarding its release date, story or content. We do know the hero will return, as we saw in teaser trailers, and we can expect plenty of high-octane action and goofy fan service along the way. Given how incredible the first two games are, we're willing to let Platinum Games take as long as it needs. Metroid Prime 4. Speaking of games we know nothing about, Metroid Prime 4 was announced several years ago at an E3 Nintendo Direct presentation, and since then Nintendo's lips have been sealed. The game was reportedly in development, but the game was not progressing as Nintendo has planned and thus scrapped and restarted. With Metroid Prime trilogy creator Retro Studios taking over, we aren't sure if the game will release within the next few years, but if there's one thing Metroid fans are good at, it's waiting. Otherwise they might end up with another game like Other M, and no one wants that. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has been heralded as the best game of the generation and possibly the best video game of all time. It comes as no surprise that Nintendo wanted to create a direct sequel to it, though just what form that will take remains unclear. A teaser trailer was released at E3 2019 suggests that Zelda herself could be playable along with Link, and the world seems to be suffering from another calamity despite the destruction of Ganon. We don't expect the game to release for a few years, but we are very excited to get our hands on it when it finally does. Pokemon Sword and Shield Expansion Pass. For the first time in a main Pokemon game, Pokemon Sword and Shield will be getting expansions as a post-launch content rather than an enhanced version like Crystal or Emerald. The Pokemon Sword and Shield Expansion Pass grants players access to 2 additional expansions, each with their own story, new monsters to catch, and new areas to explore. In the first of these Isle of Armor, you'll explore a new warmer area that is filled with beaches, caverns, forests when it releases in June. The second expansion is the Crown Tundra, and things will take a colder turn as you explore snow-covered areas. It releases this autumn. So 2020 has some promising signs coming forward. Not everything probably will be released in this year, maybe 2021, even maybe 2022, depending on how it's developing and going. But you know, you can just bet that Nintendo will throw some spanners into the work as the year goes on. We did not predict things like Ring Fit, Nintendo Labo. It came out of nowhere and Nintendo said this is happening very soon, like wow. So you know, as the year goes on, we'll get new announcements on games, new announcements on the games that we've talked about today, on when they're possibly coming out, more developing stories, and lots of new things we might not know about at the moment. But let's switch our attention to the Nintendo Direct this morning with the Smash Bros character, Blythe, I think it is, from Fire Emblem. Mixed reactions early on reading. A lot of people are happy about it, but a lot of people are disappointed about it. I'm on the fence with it. I didn't think it was going to happen, but I was hopeful for Waluigi. They really need to put him in there. They really cover all the Nintendo Kingdom Mario characters. So how about putting Waluigi in there, see what arena we can bring with him. I reckon that'd be so much fun. Everyone's really crying out for it. Maybe when Smash Bros starts to die down to get people interested again, that's when I'll go, hey, here's Waluigi. But they did say recently as well that this is the biggest Smash roster they're gonna make for a while. So they're basically saying that when they make a new Smash Bros game in a few years time or whatever, the roster won't be as big, so really need to take advantage of this now. I don't know why they want to quite do that. You think, you know, keep growing it and keep the players coming back, because if you like a character and don't have it in the next one, some people might be disappointed about that. So yeah, I thought just keep the ball rolling, keep adding more and more arenas, more characters, more things to do, makes the game more fun. And I'm also very keen to hear everyone's opinion on this on E3. Do you think it's still relevant? With Sony recently saying, we don't want to go. And that's a big deal because the PS5's coming out this year, a perfect place to showcase their new PlayStation, and they're saying, nah, we don't want to go, we'll do our own thing. Last year or 2 years ago, Nintendo was the first one of the big three to pull out of E3 as well. They've committed their time this year, but they did pull out a couple of years ago or last year, can't quite remember. Sony's done it now. Xbox is all over this though. They are front running it, saying, yep, we're going to be there, we're going to be front runners, and you can just imagine they're going to showcase their new Xbox. So they're really interested still. With so many other social gatherings around the world and game conventions and expos and their own personal directs, is E3 still as big and relevant as it was before? Yeah, I'd love to hear people's opinions on that one down below, because yeah, it looks like it's sort of on the fence of, is it still massive or is it just, you know, starting to slowly wither out? If you haven't already, guys, don't forget to like me on Facebook, Nintendo Down Under. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Nintendo Down Under. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and take care.